Hey guys, my name's Roland. Welcome back to How to Be a WAD Ace, or Wings of Duty Ace, for those of you who don't know. So, Wings of Duty. We already gone over the aesthetics and what stuff you need to have in order to get luck on your journey. The next step is pretty simple. Step 1. Knowing your planes. Yes, knowing your planes. Knowing your planes is an essential part in Wings of Duty. It can help you determine whether or not you can actually engage the enemy. Because of this, I will actually give you a little bit of status on every plane in the game and show you how each one works. So, beginner plane for America, the P-35 Seversky. This thing may not look like much, and honestly, looking at speed, weapon capabilities, and armor, it isn't. However, where it lies is the fact that it has quite the turning capabilities. Yes, sirree, this thing is the quickest turner in the game, and I can assure you, you can get on someone's 6 in no time. Not only that, but this thing doesn't require that much speed and handling. It's a pretty good little plane. And from the standard 30 cals, you also got yourself the 50 cals. This, though is regarded as a noob plane in Wings of Duty, is actually quite a really good plane. I actually enjoy using it. Yes, I actually do use this thing. I'll actually probably put it in a how-to plane video. Anyways, that's the P-35. Pretty straightforward. If you decide to get the P-40 Warhawk, well, you're going to be in for a treat. Though the P-40 Warhawk can't turn as strongly as the P-35, it does have improvements in armor, weapon capabilities, and speed. The P-40 Warhawk not only can equip 6 50 caliber MGs, but can also equip up to 700 pounds of bombs. Yes, sir, 700 pounds worth of bombs. The P-40 Warhawk is also, surprisingly enough, a really good Key 61 killer, as I've had many instances where I've been able to actually kill a Key 61 in this thing. And note that the Key 61 is extremely fast and very good at hunting down bombers. Very powerful. But yeah, once you master this thing, you can practically take down a Key 61 with it. Next up on the tree is the P-39 Acroba. The P-39 Acroba carries, quite the payload. Though it doesn't have that much better of a bomb load, no, it only has one 500-pound bomb, where its bomb load may fall short to the P-40, its gun loadout is where it really stands out. This thing can carry 4 30 caliber MGs, holding 4,000 rounds, 1,000 rounds each for each gun respectively, 2 50 caliber MGs with 400 shots in them, 200 in each gun respectively, and 1 37mm cannon. Yes, sir, we have 37mm cannon on this thing. It has 30 shots, and if you guys have seen my The Team Killing is Real episode, you'll know that this thing's a really good bomber hunter. And since they're going to be adding in a Japanese bomber, you can expect me using this thing to kill, Jap bombers. Not only that, but like the P-40, it can kill a Key 61, or in some cases, A6-3s in an instant. So, yeah, where its bomb load isn't the most powerful, obviously, its guns are. Next on the list, we've got the P-38 Lightning. The P-38 Lightning is what I would refer to as a glorified attacker. Though this thing does have some fighter capabilities, where it really lies is its payload. This thing can carry 1,000 pounds worth of bombs and 14 HVAR rockets, which, though a few alone can't really destroy a carrier, that is why they have 14. So you can spray and pray. Not only that, but with this payload, you also get 4 50 caliber MGs, with 2,000 rounds, 500 for each gun, and 120 mil. Now, you might have seen earlier with the 37mm cannon, you may be wondering, Roland, why not use this? I mean, 2 reasons. Number 1, the fact that you got no bombs or anything. And as this thing's practically a glorified attacker and ground pounder, though the 37mm cannon does look tempting, not really gonna recommend. Number 2, this thing has less ammo than the P-39 Acro by the 37mm cannon, only housing in 15 rounds, where the P-39 can house a total of 30. Yes, sirree. Which is probably why most players would probably use this payload. Not only that, but this thing is pretty speedy. Obviously, you can tell by the 2 engines. This makes this plane a very formidable foe. Though, trying to attack Key 61s or A6Ms, 3s, or 2, or like just A6Ms in general, probably isn't the best idea, especially if it's a skilled player. Next on the list, we've got the P-47B. Now, honestly, I haven't played this thing enough to give it a fully detailed review on it. It definitely can take a few hits, and though it has quite the payload, honestly, that's outshined by the P-38. However, it has quite the speed, rather than the P-38. In fact, actually, I think their speed's kind of evenly matched. But, yeah, this thing is a 4-engined airplane, pretty powerful as well. Again, I haven't played it too in-depth, or I haven't played it enough to give it an in-depth review. If you want to get an in-depth review on it, go check out Bros Films channel. Anyways, now that we've done with that, let's go into the naval airplane tree. The naval airplanes are, well, pretty basic. First on the list is the SPD Dauntless, yet another plane in which you can buy if you transfer enough XP into gold. This is a really good dive bomber, and if you've seen my how to plane episode, or how to use the Dauntless properly episode, you'll know that this thing is quite the little dive bomber. So, obviously, I won't go too in-depth of it, because, again, if you watch my How to Dive Bomb with the Dauntless properly video, you'll know that I've already explained quite a lot with it. This thing can carry a standard of 2 100-pound bombs in the beginning, 2 250-pound bombs, which is 500 pounds in total, then 2 100-pound bombs and 1 500-pound bomb, so pretty much equal to the P-47, and obviously the 1,000-pound bomb load, which is pretty good. Next on the skill tree is the F4F Wildcat. Now, the F4F Wildcat, though, yes, I have played it quite a lot, I haven't played it enough to, again, give it an in-depth review. I haven't really dogfighted in it too much, though this thing is actually, surprisingly enough, a pretty good attacker or fighter. Though, I mean, then again, that's in my experience. Though it may not be able to stand up to every fighter in the book, it can actually substantially stand up to an A6M, or yet again, in my experience. In fact, I've actually killed quite a few A6Ms in this thing, and all I can say is it's a pretty good airplane. Now, obviously, you can have 2 100-pound bombs on it, 2 250-pound bombs on it, or 6 HVAR rockets. This is actually probably going to be the first plane in the game that you're going to have rockets with. Now, that ultimately depends on what skill tree you go down with. Honestly, with the F4F, though, that was my first plane with the missiles. So, yeah. In the right hands, it can be a really good fighter. However, the thing is that you really gotta take care of it, because, again, it can stall out pretty quickly, and you're kind of gonna need to get on your enemy's 6 first without him realizing it. Otherwise, he's gonna absolutely destroy you if he's an A6M. Now that we've gone over that, let's go to the F6, F3 Hellcat. This Hell Kitty can carry a standard of 6 50 cal guns at the beginning. If you convert, or if you, buy the bomb load for its first standard bomb load, is 2 100-pound bombs and 1 250-pound bomb. Afterwards, you can get 2 100-pound bombs and 2 50-pound bomb and 6 HVR rockets. Then, this is where it pretty much gets the Dauntless's payload, only with rockets. Now, you may be wondering, well, if all the army planes in the game have the Dauntless's payload practically, why does it make it so important? Well, simply because it's a really good dive bomber. It can dive a lot better and all that, and frankly, if you want to go with dive bombing, then do the Dauntless. Now, where this thing really stands out, and was kind of unorthodox to me at first, was the fact that it carries a torpedo. This is a Mark 13 torpedo. You may actually recognize it from the Hampton. This Mark 13 torpedo is pretty devastating and can actually, no joke, one-shot a carrier. Because of this, the Hellcat has grown to be one of is grown to be one of the best anti-carrier planes. And trust me, whenever I saw an enemy player with this thing, I'd probably be cowering. Because Lord knows what damage he can do with this one torpedo. Next up, we got the F6, F5 Hellcat. It pretty much has the equivalent payload as the F6, F3 Hellcat. The only difference is that it's got 20 mils. Yes, sirree, you heard me right. This thing's got 20 mils. And it has quite a lot of them, actually. Ranging up to 550 rounds in it. Pretty good. For some reason, for me, this thing wasn't a good dive or was a good fighter. The main reason why was, well, frankly, because whenever I tried to dogfight it with a A6M, basically what happened was I stalled out. And no, this wasn't because I just now took off and all that. But no, I've actually been gaining speed for quite a while. And the one time I see a Dauntless and decide to attack it, I stalled out. Now, this is actually the same thing with the F6, F3. So, take notes. But, again, that's in my experience of it. I don't know necessarily if that applies to all players. That's just, again, my experience. So, yeah. So, next on the list is the obvious F4U Corsair, or what the community has called this thing, the Boom and Zoom. Now, again, I like the P47. I haven't given this thing an in-depth review, mostly because I can't get it. And, I have rented it before with some XP, and I gotta say, it's a really good fighter. I understand why many people love it. Now, the only thing I have with this is its payload. It can carry a standard of 1,000-pound bomb, or, it can carry up to 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. Now, that may seem impressive, but consider the Dauntless. It can do that. And even then, the Dauntless, like I said before, is a better dive bomber. Probably one of the best dive bombers in the game. But, I can still understand why people will get this, as this thing is a pretty beast plane in terms of dogfighting. Now, we go on to the bombers. The bombers, first off, is the Hudson Mark 1. Now, if you guys have watched my How to Plane video, you'll know that I've already explained a lot of the Hudson. So, I'm going to make this summary short. Now, for those of you who haven't watched my How to Plane video, well, then you should, because I'm giving a less in-depth review, as I already did it on the How to Plane video. So, check back on that. Basically, the Hudson is your standard light bomber. It's a patrol bomber, or that's what the history shows it. It's a pretty good beginning bomber. It has a 30 caliber MG, which if you saw my flying anti-air video, you'll see that a 30 caliber gunner is probably the best gunner in the game. Talk about Hudson bias. But yeah, it can carry. First off, it can start off with 800 pounds worth of bombs. Then you get 1,000 pounds worth of bombs with the 4 250s. And then 2 500-pound bombs. What the heck's up with this charger? But yeah. So, pretty good. Light bomber. Definitely do recommend. Now that we've done that, let's go up to the B-25 Mitchell. Yes, sirree, this is a good old-fashioned American bomber. Now, at first, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, first of all, I was like, why is there no tail gunner? But obviously, Wings of Duty or Phaetonic already added that in. But my other complaint was, why is there no dorsal guns? And Jesus Christ. But yeah, and now I figured out that, wait a minute, there are multiple versions of the B-25. Now, though every B-25 had a tail gunner, I'm not sure it had one tail gunner, but still, there was definitely a different model that had dorsal guns. So that's why this one doesn't have dorsal guns. It was a different model. So, obviously, that solves that. This thing can carry up to 26 100-pound bombs. And is, well, quite a lot. That's what I call my carpet bomb payload. Next one is 12 250-pound bombs. Pretty good, pretty good. And as you guessed from the Hudson, 6 500-pound bombs. Pretty much equivalent. The only difference is that with the 250s, you kind of have a bit more of it. But yeah, so that's its standard payload. This thing can take quite the beating, has pretty good speed, and its defense capabilities are really good. Especially with the added tail gunner. Like, good God, that thing saved my life multiple times. And if you don't believe me, well then go check out my new update videos where I explained everything and actually played around with the B-25. This thing also has 250 caliber guns, forming one turret on the top, and then a nose gun. The nose gun is kind of like an The actual trick to using this thing, though, and what I've used it for, is I would go into the gunner section of the Bombardier, and I would try and line it up with the B-25, like straighten it out. And then I would put autopilot off, and that would cause the gun to be still, but I could still fire it. It's actually quite a funny trick that I may actually show you guys later on. Next thing, the final one, the big bad boy B-26 Marauder. The Martin Marauder, boys. Now, this thing had a rough history. It started off as quite a bad bomber, with it constantly having its engines blow up. Engine failures were common, and landing gear, well, regularly either tore off, didn't work, and it was all sorts of stuff with this thing. But over time, through modifications and new engines and just all around fixing up this thing, they've made it an even better bomber. The B-26 in the game is definitely shown by that, as this thing is like the big daddy of bombers. At first, this thing can carry up to 48 100-pound bombs. Next thing, you can get 22 50-pound bombs, and then 12 500-pound bombs. You could literally kill 2 carriers with this thing. All you need is one B-26 Marauder, and you can literally just kill the 2 carriers with that payload. And that's pretty much all the American planes done. Now we move on to the land of the rising sun, Japan. First things first on the list is the A5M Claude. Yet again, this has been considered a noob plane among the community, but this thing has, like the P-35, has more to it than just, a noob plane. This was the first, and I mean the first, monoplane, or in this case, carrier-based monoplane, During this time, everyone else was still, using biplanes, especially America. So when the A5M Claude came into business when Japan and China were slugging it out, this proved very versatile, with it not having the restrictions of a biplane, and yet being able to still launch from carriers. Now, like the Dauntless, which I forgot to go over, this thing has a scope. This is what makes it good. I like to call this thing the Little Scout. The Little Scout, has a scope. It is pretty good. Now, this is what I use to, usually scout out planes, see what they are, or just generally find a target. Not only that, but this thing's really good at aim assisting and helping you and take out targets. Though, no, it doesn't have the equally good turning capabilities of a P-35, where it doesn't have that, it sure does have a pretty good scope. Not only that, but it does have landing gear pants. Now, if you don't get what landing gear pants are, basically, think of the Ju-87 Stuka. You can't put up your gears in that thing. Same thing with the A5M. Basically, you can't put up your gears. Not only that, but like the P-35, this thing has no flaps. Now, the landing gear pants and no flaps could actually kind of be helpful. In fact, though, with the landing gear pants, you don't have to worry about exceeding your speed and having to just, try and cut down your throttle but not hit the ocean at the same time. Not only that, but again, it just makes it a lot more simpler. Next on the list is the A6M Mark II Zero. This thing right here, this is a really good fighter, a really good beginner fighter. This is one of the beginner planes that you can buy if you transfer enough gold. Now, this right off the bat starts off with two 7.7mm Type 97 MGs, and then two 20mm Type 99 cannons with 120 rounds. Not only that, but you can carry up to two 60-kilogram bombs, which one 60-kilogram bomb can weigh over 100 pounds. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that too with the A5M, it can carry 50-kilogram bombs, equaling up to a total of 200-pound bombs. And the A6M, it adds a 10 kilograms, so yeah, pretty good. Now, this is a really good fighter. I've actually gained a lot of kills with this thing. It's really good. The only thing is, though, it's like all the Japanese planes, this thing has almost no armor. Like, seriously, though, this thing has just about no armor. Now, I may not be able to go over all the planes. I'm probably going to go over only the Japanese and American ones. But yeah, A6M, really good turn fighter. Not as good as the P-35, though. Has a pretty good attack loadout, but has no armor. Next on the list is the A6M Mark III. Now, like the F4U Corsair P-47, I have not been able to play this thing, mostly because I just decided not to buy it, and because, I expected it to kind of be the same as the A6M. It basically has the same amount of armor as the A6M, however, it has two 13.2mm Type 3 MGs and two 20mm cannons, which I think have slightly more ammo. Not only that, but you can equip up to either two 260-kilogram bombs or two 250-kilogram bombs, which equal up to 500 pounds, or equals up to 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. Now, though I haven't played this thing, I can only imagine it basically just improves on everything else other than armor of the A6M. So, yeah. Next up is the Key series. Now, no, it's not called a KI, it's a Key. Now, the Key 43 Oscar. This plane was actually nicknamed the Ground Zero because this was used by the Army, the Imperial Japanese Army, rather than the Zero being a part of the IJN or the Imperial Japanese Navy. Alright, no time to dwell on that. This thing, at first, can carry up to two 7.7mm Type 89 MGs. Next off, you can equip up to two 12.7mm HO 103 MGs or HO 103 MGs. Then you basically equip the same amount of guns as the previous loadout, except for with two 60kg bombs. This thing actually cost 500 coins, and is pretty similar to the regular Mitsubishi, or Mitsubishi. I don't want to say Mitsubishi, I know it's like Mitsubishi. I really need to look on that a bit more to pronounce it, because I just still can't pronounce it correctly. But yeah, it's pretty much like the Zero. Only difference is, well, I mean, it costs less and it has no cannons. Next up is the Key 61 Heinz, aka the Japanese 109. Yes, sirree, when the Americans first saw this thing, they thought it was a 109. And rightfully so, this thing actually does. If you get a 109 picture and, put the two together, you can see that the similarities are not quite off. No, sirree. Now, not only that, but... Or wait. At first, this thing carries two 20mm HO5 cannons, or HO5, and then two 12.7mm HO 103 MGs. But this is what I like to call the dank loadout, because you can get four 20mm cannons. You see what I did there? Yes, you can carry four 20mm cannons. And, well, that's what makes this thing a bomber hunter. With these 20 mils, you can easily tear apart a bomber. And then you basically get the same 420 loadout, but with 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. Next up is the Kate. Now, the Kate has gotten a lot of dirt on it for being a really new plane. Number one, because it has no armor, or like barely any armor, and you have to understand, the B5N2K or any Japanese fighter or plane were all built for speed. The history of, Japan, they've always built their planes on speed to be more maneuverable than the enemy. They don't care whether or not the plane has a ton of armor, and it doesn't even matter so long as the Japanese planes kill the enemy planes first. Now, this goes on for any sort of Japanese plane. They all have weak armor, but very good speed. Now, again, that's obviously, that explains the B5N2K. Yet, that doesn't stop the community from hating this thing. And honestly, I guess they do have a reason to hate it. Again, it has barely any armor. It can barely take a hit. Doesn't have that much. It barely has any sort of defense, and its bomb load kind of Now, I have to disagree. This thing is probably one of my most favorite torpedo bombers. Yes, better than Hampton. Because, number one, it can carry up to 650kg bombs. Now, yes, the Ju-87 can carry a heavier bomb load, but still, during the older days of Wings of Duty, when we didn't have to worry about ghost planes or all that, and we only had to worry about Key 61s going at high speeds, this thing was your go-to torpedo bomber for beginners, because it can carry a Type 91 torpedo. Yes, sirree, though it's not as powerful as the Mark 13 torpedo, nevertheless, it's been, it's what I like to consider the beginner player's torpedo bomber. Now, the K only has one 7.7mm Type 89 MG, the other two being in the front section. But yeah, this also has three cockpits, First one being the gunner, second one being the pilot, third one being the navigator. And since we've got maps, that makes the navigator actually worth something now. So, yeah. But yeah, this thing is, well, this is what I recommend you'd use to overwhelm your enemy. Like, get a bunch of players to be a Kate, and you can just overwhelm your enemy. And that's honestly what the Japanese did in World War II. They knew that their planes were weak, which is why they did what I like to call the Imperial strategy, which is obviously a Star Wars reference. This basically means that they're just gonna swarm their enemy with tons of, A6Ms or all that. And same thing goes for the B5N2K. They just absolutely swarm the enemy. And, even if the enemy could defend them, again, it'd just be overwhelming hordes of these things. So yeah, that's gonna conclude part 2 of our tutorial on how to be a Wings of Duty ace, with starting off with the USA and Japan faction. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later for more how to be an ace.